Welcome to Heart and Mind Talks, a podcast for female entrepreneurs navigating life and business. I'm Vanessa Ortali, award-winning speaker and coach. Join me and expert guests as we uncover how to make success simpler, more fun, and feel truly aligned to you. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with someone who could use a little extra love and inspiration. Let's go. I am so excited to introduce you to my friend and celebrity designer, Diana Verduzco. She is also known as the Divine Designer because she really is so good at integrating spirituality, numerology, feng shui into design to make your home and spaces beautiful. She has helped me personally with my condo, our current home, and now our cottage. And I am just so excited to talk design concepts with her, but also help you create a space that you really love so that you are able to further embody the person that you want to show up as in your life. One of the best things actually about our friendship is how we met. So I was living in LA for a few months and I met Diana at a meditation class, and I literally kept looking at her. I couldn't keep my eyes off her. Yes, because she's beautiful, but there was something else that was drawing me to her. And after class, I literally went up to her and I said, I don't know, this sounds so strange, but I just felt like I had to come talk to you and I had to come say hi. And funny enough, she said the same thing to me. And then we ended up going for coffee. And 8 years later, we are still friends. And we just kind of travel in between and stay connected, even though we live on opposite sides of the country, but also different countries. I'm East Coast, she's West Coast. I'm in Canada, she's in the US, but it just is an excuse to travel. So this is a shout out to all you ladies with international friends, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, Miss Diana.
Hi, how are you?
Good. You are at Soho House in LA right now.
I
I'm
am. I
so
am.
jealous.
It's such a nice vibe. I wish you were here.
I wish I was there too. Okay, so California, even though it can be all like hotty toddy Hollywood, whatever, I still love California. The weather, the water. I
Mhm.
mean, my time with you is so special. And I have a really special place in my heart for LA.
You do, and it's actually been way too long
Yeah,
that
I know,
since you've
right?
been here. Like it's
Yeah,
been a really long time.
yeah.
We've never gone this long, like
No,
without you coming to see me.
I know, because pregnancy, baby, yeah, 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 yeah.
Last time you were here, you were like getting ready to get pregnant. Like you
Right?
felt it coming, you know? So it was
I
a
know.
long time ago.
I know. It's true. Because the last few times I've seen you, you came out to Canada.
Exactly.
Yeah, help me
Yeah.
prepare for my baby shower.
That was so
Yeah,
fun. That was
I
the last
know.
time I saw you.
I know. Well, and now it'll be easier too, because the baby, sadly enough, is weaning from the tit. I
Already.
know. He knows what he wants. So this
Yeah.
whole time I just keep watching his cues to see,
Yeah.
and I can definitely tell he's weaning. He just doesn't care as much. He pops off, he pops on,
Yeah.
whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
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 Now how old is he exactly?
10 months.
Oh my
I
God.
know. So before you know it, I'll be able to travel and easy
Exactly.
girl
You'll
trip.
bring him here. We'll do a Malibu day or weekend or week with Maverick. It'll be so
Yeah,
fun.
I
And
know.
well, it's a different Malibu now. He will
Right?
never know the Malibu that you and I knew.
It's so true. I know. The LA fires. I mean, what has it been like being in LA?
Well, PCH is still completely closed.
Which
So
is the road like right along the water.
Pacific Coast
Yeah.
Highway. Yeah. So that is completely shut down like from the south. So traffic wise, everybody's been redirected to freeways. So people's commutes have gone up by like 30, 40 minutes.
And the traffic
Um,
was already so bad in LA. It would
yeah,
take an
exactly.
hour to get
Yeah.
from one end of the city to the other.
Yeah, remember we would have to like plan our
Oh,
days
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
very strategically. So, yeah, I think people are very, I would say, just displaced even like not only obviously homes, but in their cars. Like they're like taking new routes. They're like working from home again. It's almost like this like very interesting transition. to see that like people are like doing like more like hybrid work or just staying home because of how bad the traffic really is right now. But
Yeah.
like emotionally and like energetically, it's still very sad. It's still like I would say very somber. Like if you drive so you have to have a pass to drive through Malibu and the Palisades right now. Like you have to be like a critical first responder or someone working with like DWP, like restoring power lines and things like that. But if you have a pass, people are taking like videos, and I mean, it's a ghost town. It is like, I mean, everything's burned. Everything's burned.
Wow.
So, but I'll go work at Little Beach House in Malibu, and I'll like drive in from the north side. And I will say, like, the beach is very peaceful. It's almost reminiscent of how it was during the pandemic. Like, there's like a ton of like dolphins and seals, and like they're coming so much closer to the shore because like it's very quiet. Like the beaches are not, inundated with people right now. Granted, it's also March, but still, it's California. It was 80 degrees last week. So,
There's so
anyways,
much
it's
duality in that too, because
Mhm.
as you describe that, there's obviously the sadness, but then also these beautiful things of people changing.
Exactly.
And like you just said, the nature. And
Hmm.
I just think that's with everything. We were talking a little bit before we press record too. I think the most successful people, spiritually, emotionally, and financially, are able to see both sides in the world. And I
Hmm.
think they
Yeah.
don't get too bogged down when tragic things happen, whatever it may
Yeah.
be, because there's always a different perspective. And change brings out such, it can bring out the worst in people and it can also bring out the best
Mhm.
in people. And I love watching people thrive through change.
And I think we've talked about this in like our coaching calls. You've been coaching me for so many years, like that oftentimes it's like it's all in the pivot. Like you can feel sad and you can feel down and depressed, but like how quickly you're able to pivot back to, strength and hope and resiliency. There's so much power in that. And I'm seeing that for a lot of people are banding together right now. There's so much community. There are so many volunteer efforts. I went to a meditation a couple weeks ago where we all were like doing Kundalini yoga, like jumping around, dancing, chanting for the fire victims and like chanting for rain. Like this particular meditation was like when the fires were still burning. And it was so much fun. It was so beautiful. Like we're like doing yoga and like, praying for, recovery of the land. And like there's been just so much community and yeah, like volunteerism, donation drives, like so much, which has
Yeah.
been a really beautiful silver lining, I guess.
Totally. And even silver lining for your business because obviously you do design and okay, proud friend moment. Your designs were just on Netflix in what was it? I
Yes.
always want to say tipping point, but it's not tipping point. What was it? Running point?
Running Point
Running
on
Point
Netflix.
with
It's
Kate Hudson. It's so cute. I watched all of it. And okay,
yes.
I have to say, so obviously I'm a huge stalker with all of Diana's designs, and she posts them on Instagram and she shows them to me. And when I saw, so Kate Hudson's home in Running Point, I
Hmm.
saw it and I thought, oh, that's so funny. That looks exactly like Diana's design.
Which is
And then
so crazy that you picked up on
yes,
that.
because then
Like,
you didn't announce it until probably 2 days later is when
hmm
you actually announced it, and I just started laughing because I knew it
you
was your
knew.
design. Yeah,
Like that out of all the like sets in the world, all of the designers in the world, we're just so connected, Vanessa.
right.
Like
I know.
it's just so crazy that you picked
Yeah,
up on that. I mean, I
yeah,
do love a double island, but even when like I first realized that the project was on the show, I was literally sitting in bed with one of my best friends, Kylie, and we were like putting on the show. Big Mindy Kaling like fans, love her, love everything she creates. And we were like, oh, let's finally watch Running Point. Like it just launched. So we finished the first episode and I'm like, okay, this is so sporty. Like how am I going to get into this? Like it's so sporty. But I'm like, no, 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 I'll persevere. So I press like the second episode because you don't see her house in the first episode at all. Go to watch the second episode. 2 minutes in, she's like on the Peloton, like, and like 2 minutes in, she like walks into the kitchen, like with her husband. I was literally like, I sat straight up in bed. I was like, oh my God, because I had no idea.
As if they didn't tell you.
And I'll explain. So
Yeah.
I sit straight up in my bed. I'm like, oh my God, Kylie, 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 oh my God, oh my God. And she's like, what? Like, and I said, look at the house. And she was like, oh my God, that's Mari's house. I was like, yeah. So this project was actually one of the first projects I ever did when I launched my firm. Um, which is just so crazy how like timing works because when I was going and like posting old content of the house, it was like 256 weeks ago. And I was like, wow. Like that's when like all these, when I styled the house, when I was designing it, like it's crazy. And I just like sat back for a moment. And I was like, wow, it's so cool that like you can have like this unexpected success 256 weeks after you finish the project. Like I was really reflecting on that. Like you never know. Like and it's inspiring to just keep putting things out into the world because you never know when they're gonna like you're gonna see these big major results from them, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really exciting and I am obviously super proud, but like these clients, they obviously, okay, the house is so beautiful. So like they started working with a location scout for like a casting, for TV shows and movies. And it's been 256 weeks. I don't talk to them really anymore, like often, at least we check in, but the house has been designed for a long time. So I just didn't know. They didn't tell me.
Yeah.
And I was like messaging with her like the past couple days about it and she's like, "Oh my gosh, like we had no idea that like so much of the house would be featured." She's like, "My husband said like you should be so proud because they left your designs untouched. Like
Oh,
they really didn't move things around. Like it was just exactly how I left it." So that
so
was
good.
really really exciting for me.
Yeah. And I mean, the reason I brought that up too, because I kind of didn't finish the thought before I had my exciting friend moment, because I was really thinking about your ability to adapt in crisis,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
through COVID, but now the LA fires, and now you're working with all these celebrities whose homes burnt down, and you're now able to help them build. So, segue into spilling the tea. You have worked with many celebrities in LA. You are in the celebrity hub spot. What is it like designing for celebrities and working with influencers and all that sort of stuff?
Well, celebrities and influencers are very different from one another. And also, like ultra high net worth people are very different than celebrities and influencers. So I've worked with all of them under the whole umbrella. Um, I will say, like, the most rewarding or like fun part is like, you don't really have a budget. So I can do whatever I want to do in terms of like my creative concepts. Um, and they actually have the budget for it. So that I would say is like the best part. But also, ever since I launched my firm, I've been a luxury residential designer. I have always pretty much only designed for luxury homes. So even if it's not a celebrity or, influencer, everyone I work with like has a luxury home or wants a luxury home.
And
People,
or just luxury designs. And that's what I love
that's
about
what I was
your
just gonna
stuff,
say.
right? Because
Yeah,
even when you lived in your own condo, it still
yeah,
was luxury,
exactly. So luxury design, like, I can elevate a baby shower to be
which you
luxury
did
baby
for
shower.
mine. Yes.
Yeah. So that's exactly right. It's like when you bring that luxury element, it's like you can live in a standard tract home or whatever, and I can come in and make it luxury because I'm a luxury designer. So, um, regardless of like the status, I guess, of the person I'm designing for, it's always like a luxury high-end design, no
Mhm.
matter what. Um, Classy, tasteful, not anything like too crazy, but yeah, it's really fun. Honestly,
Well, okay. And the reason I asked this question is because I have a lot of clients who do work with celebrities, influencers, athletes. And I just think it's an important conversation to have because so many entrepreneurs desire to work with high net worth people, celebrities, influencers. And in conversations with you, other clients, and even my own experience, I guess I just want to say that it's not all what people think it is. And there's all these people striving to do it, and it may not be worth it. So, what
agree.
would you advise those people if people want to be working with celebrities, athletes, influencers?
I would advise them to ask themselves what the root of that desire is and like how you've coached me, like what's the feeling you're chasing there? Because some of my most fulfilling clients and projects have not been celebrities. So, and some of my hardest, most frustrating projects have. So, ultimately, like what I realized about myself is like I desire clients who have a luxury aesthetic, have a budget to, create the home of their dreams, and also like don't have time to do it themselves. So they need someone like me to come in and do something turnkey for them. That is ultimately like my dream client. And those are my favorite clients who I've, been working with most of my clients at this point for over 5 years.
Yeah.
So but no, it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's not all it's cracked up to be. And they are people too,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
and I think you described that really well because at the end of the day, really looking into who is your ideal client. Celebrity and influencer shouldn't be the number one thing. It's
no.
how do you want them to feel? What do you want that interaction to be like? Because there are a lot of celebrities and influencers that don't want to pay, that just look for the discount, that are really high maintenance, drama, yada, yada, yada. And those
Yeah.
aren't the types of people you want to attract either. So, in looking at bringing in more revenue and elevating your status and your
Hmm.
experience, it doesn't matter if they're influencers or celebrities. Focusing on the type of person is more important.
Because then you'll attract the right person and they just might happen to be a celebrity, but really the focus is on who you are vibrationally aligning yourself with and your brand with. I heard someone like she like made a TikTok, some girl the other day, and she said like she doesn't want to position herself on social media as an influencer because that's not what she like her end goal or her end game. She's like, no, I like am positioning myself as like a luxury photographer because that's who I want. That's what I want to be known for. And I thought it was really special. She's like, no, I'm not going to call myself like a social media influencer because she's like, no, I want to be a luxury photographer. Like, so it really is like focusing more like if you are going to label yourself or your client, like make sure that that label that you're seeking is really actually aligned with what you're looking for.
Yeah. And you really help so many people bring that in. So where I'm going with this is really leaning into this luxury and aesthetics
Hmm.
because I really see what you do as a designer as expanding on somebody's brand and helping them embody everything they want to be in every part of their life.
Hmm.
And you and I have had so many discussions about design. Even my horoscope says that I need to be surrounded by beautiful things.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah,
used
same
to
here.
think, right? I used to think to myself, what the heck is that? Why I don't want to feel materialistic and all the things that people want to shame you for, but to me, when I am surrounded by beautiful, organized
Yeah.
things, it makes me feel so much more at ease and at peace and more creative. I have always just been very aware of my surroundings, and you really help people to do that and have helped me to do that in our home and now our cottage. Let's talk about this because I know you've mentioned before that people will more likely want to renovate when they're going to sell their home and don't actually spend the time when they're living in it to enjoy it. And I just think
Yeah.
that's such an important thing that we need to address and just start paying attention to our
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah, you and I have talked about this so often, how like someone's getting ready to sell their home and they're like, "Ooh, let me call Diana or my designer and or my contractor and let's finally repair that squeaky door. Let's finally paint that wall. Let's finally install the ceiling fan that's been in the box in the garage for a year." Like, and they do all these things to make the home better for the next person so that they can, make more money on this sale. And it's like, well, you're looking at this purely financially, right? Like you're doing all these renovations for the next person so that you have a monetary gain. But what about your like spiritual gain? What about your energetic gain? Like for like needing to do these renovations and then being able to enjoy them for yourself. But there is something to be said about the type of person who does it for the next person rather than themselves. And sometimes I wonder if it's a worthiness thing.
Mm. So, I mean, I think that's huge,
Yeah.
right? And how many times, let's take the ceiling fan, for example. If you haven't changed that ceiling fan, how many times you look at that ceiling fan and think, oh, it's that thought is still occupying space in your mind. So if you're walking by the messy pantry, the this, the that, and
Hmm.
always thinking about it, like,
Hmm.
why not just make that change now? And maybe it's a financial thing. But I also think
Yeah.
in some ways it's an excuse because I also know that you could figure out a way to do it cheaper and to feel at peace and at ease with whatever that part is in your home.
You could organize your pantry from the dollar store. Like there are ways. Oftentimes I honestly don't even know. Yeah, you're right. It's probably majority financially, but it's also people's time. So making the time to do these things and making them a priority over the other things in your life, like that is also huge because so often home projects get pushed to the bottom of the pile. And then you're right. It is occupying your mind in your subconscious, which is so much worse, because then it's really eating away at you and you don't even realize it. You become blinded to what's right in front of you. You don't even see the ceiling fan anymore. You don't even see the messy pantry anymore. But your nervous system is like, oh my gosh, this is so messy. Like this is why people clean their homes at the
Yeah.
most elementary level of all of this. Bottom line, it's feng shui. So the energy in your home, the way you keep your home, cleaning your home, moving items around, donating, getting new items, like it's all feng shui. It's all energy.
Yeah.
So as a feng shui practitioner, that's obviously very important to me.
Yeah.
But of course, I understand that I walk into homes and I see things that maybe other people or the homeowners are currently blind to.
What are
And
some of those main things that you see when you walk into a home?
repairs are like the number one thing I see, like repairs that are just left undone. And I'm not talking repairs that would be like financially draining. I'm talking about repairs like chipped paint on the baseboard or, the door handle is broken and we just need to replace the door handle. $20. You know what I mean? Little repairs are honestly what I see the most of. And then it's so funny and crazy because I'll come in with my handyman for a day, right? And we'll change out you know, all the broken door handles or the light switch plates that the plastic is cracked on. Um, he'll touch up the walls and then the clients will come in and be like, "Oh my gosh, you did so much. This is so amazing." And we look at each other, me and my handyman, and we're like, "We literally did the bare minimum."
But it's because it's been driving them nuts for years.
But they don't realize how much it's been driving them nuts until they fix it.
Yeah. You know
So
what? You
there's,
keep talking. I have a couple things that
uh-huh,
I know as soon as the better weather,
hmm
we have some caulking and a couple little chips in the baseboards and
yeah,
handles that are a little loose. We need to, yeah,
yeah.
get into those.
And sometimes it's just getting your screwdriver, like, kitchen handles, like, and just tightening them, like, and but it's these little projects that really are so hard to prioritize. And there's this like concept in feng shui that if you move or touch 27 items in your home, you will have completely reset the energy.
Hmm.
And I don't know if there's something necessarily special about 27, but in my opinion, it's because like the bigger part of that energetically is that you set aside the time and you were intentional with your home to pay attention to 27 different things.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest part of it.
Yeah, that's really neat. And that's what I love about what you do. When you do your designs, you're thinking about so many things, feng shui, spiritually. And you've always
Hmm.
said when my clients or when people walk into their home, I want it to feel relaxing, that nervous system
Yeah.
element. And it's true. I've always thought the same. I want to walk into my home and love it. Like
Hmm.
love everything. And it's even Marie Kondo, right? If you don't love it and it doesn't
Yes.
spark joy, toss it. And I think this conversation, I hope when people are listening to it, just continues to get people thinking, okay, how can I spark more joy in my home? How can I bring more
Hmm.
alignment? And what kind of feeling do I want to feel in my home? And how can I do that? So, what other things can people do right now to bring more ease and pleasure and a creativity and
Yeah.
luxury into their space?
The number one, like, easiest thing, first thing that pops to my mind is fresh flowers. So, you can go to Trader Joe's and you can get roses for $10. Like, so having fresh flowers in your house is a very quick and easy and cost-effective way to bring in luxury, serenity, nature, beauty very, very quickly. Um, Also like a little bit bigger scale than that, like paint refreshes. Like doing just a paint refresh can work wonders. Like sometimes you don't even need to get new furniture. Like if you just like do a paint, like change the color, it changes everything. Um, Same goes for like and kind of backtracking to what we were talking about, like the little repairs. Um, if you open your cupboard and you look at your dishes and there are dishes that are chipped and cracked, those if you're not savvy to repair them, should be donated or replaced and or replaced. Um, because again, that's another little thing that is simply not luxury to
Mm,
have broken dishware. So, or stained bedding. Like take the time and the stain removers and try and get it out, or just wash your pillows, wash your duvet, like all of that. Don't let yourself live in that state if you can change it. Those
yeah.
are just the small luxuries, the things to look out for.
And it's so funny because I think even the word luxury might trigger some people, but how I
Mhm.
see it is just embodiment. Who do you want to be in this world? How do you want to
Mhm.
show up and allow your, just like you would want your clothing to reflect that, your home should reflect that
Mhm.
as well. So when you walk in, it helps you to embody the person you want to be.
Yeah, wardrobe is a huge thing. It's really everything. It's the car you drive, it's the food you eat, it's everything. It's how you want to feel. And so being intentional with how you want to feel as you move through every aspect of your life is so important. And the word luxury doesn't need to be triggering because you can assign whatever meaning you want to the word luxury. Everybody has a different understanding and definition of what luxury means to them. So it's a good point. I think luxury, it's more like I want to create a sanctuary. I want to create, you know, peace and calm the nervous system. And also, I design like I take people's zodiac signs into consideration. I take their address number into consideration. I take what they're going through in life into consideration. So it's so many things that go into the definition of your quote unquote dream home.
Yeah. And I think the only reason why, and if you are triggered by the word luxury, maybe it's connected to something monetary and maybe money,
Right.
right? Also triggers you. But you said something really fun that I want to address. You look at people's zodiac signs, but you also look
Mhm.
at people's addresses. So what is that? Because I know we've done it. What's the name for it?
Yeah.
Take the first, okay, teach me again.
It's the name for it is numerology.
Okay.
It's something I learned in
That
feng
was so
shui, and
basic. The homes, I
you
thought
you
it was
know you
something
know
else. I'm
about
like,
this.
I
Yeah.
know about this.
It's numerology. It's something I learned when I was studying feng shui, and I just love these like fun little spiritual modalities. I think they're just fun practices and make life so interesting. Um, like first and foremost, I learned all of this as it applies to myself. So my zodiac sign, the numerology of my birthday, like all these things as I was like going on my spiritual journey, like I was applying to myself to better understand myself, like on a deeper level, right? They say, like, when you're born, you have amnesia, you forget who you are, you forget your soul, you forget heaven, all of that, your purpose. And so life is one big game of trying to remember who we are. So
With
I've
that being
taken,
said,
yeah,
total sidebar here. I really hope that Maverick, my son, when he starts to be able to talk, he remembers those stories with the kids that
Vanessa,
remember their past lives. Oh
that
my
is
gosh.
almost that is almost the only reason I want to have kids. It's
The truth comes
just
out. Yeah.
for those. No, literally, like that is what I am like most excited about if I ever do become a mother.
Right?
Like for them to like remember because when they start talking, like you're like, so you remember
Yeah,
anything?
yeah, so
Yeah,
funny. Anyways, we digress. But okay, go
I
back to
know.
this numerology and you just using all these principles for yourself.
Yeah, so that's like where I started. And then when I like, launched my company, I was like, you could get to know your home better too through these same practices. So I started applying all those fun things to a home or a commercial business, whatever. Anything that has an address, you can apply it to. So basically, what you do is you just add up the digits of your address and condense it down to a single number,
Okay,
unless
so
it adds.
mine's 55.
Okay, so that adds up to 10. So
Yep.
condenses down to one.
Yeah.
So ones are all about like independence, autonomy, freedom, like standing strong on your own 2 feet, like which is actually very funny because you and Mark are both so much like
Right?
that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that you like gravitated towards a
Okay,
home
let's
with a.
do the cottage, okay?
Okay, let's do
Okay,
the
the cottage
cottage.
is 1 1 1 2.
Oh, that's a fun one. So that adds up to a five.
Okay.
So five is so basically the numbers go 1 through 9, and then there are two master numbers, 11 and 22. So if you add up to an 11 or a 22, then you can either, take that interpretation or an 11 condenses down to a 2, a 22 condenses down to a 4. So you
You're
can look
always
at both
adding them up.
definitions.
Yeah.
Always adding them up. But anyways, so the numbers typically go 1 through 9 in numerology. So five, which is the cottage, that's where what's called like the delta, like where it changes from the lower numbers 1 through 4 to the higher numbers 6 through 9. So five symbolically represents change, which is so interesting because we've like basically gutted this place and
I
we're
know.
changing everything. But when people live in a five, there are usually big renovations like this. I've had a couple clients with fives and we have done the exact same thing. We've gutted the home. Um, but also just in life, like lots of change. And what's interesting is this is a vacation property for you, like a rental that you're gonna, rent out for Airbnb and such. So like the change is also like how many people are coming through, so the occupants are always going to be changing here. But also just change in however you interpret change too. So it's like your family might change a lot while you're living at the cottage. There are lots of different interpretations to what change can mean. Um, I've had clients who like change careers right when they move to a five and things like that. So that's what a
Cool.
five is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to me that resonates as well, right? We're expanding our family. Kids are
Yeah.
always changing. Family dynamics are always changing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just see Maverick growing so quickly and him being able to grow up at the cottage is just to me
So
embodies
special.
the word change. So,
Yeah.
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 You're at a what right now?
Let me see. I am at a two, which is interesting. So two is all about like partnerships, relationships, collaboration. So if you look at 1 through 9, like one is opposite of two, three is opposite of four.
Mm,
Five is opposite of six. So it's like the energy always like bounces. So
neat.
like one is autonomy, two is partnership. Three is like social life, party house, where everybody would have like a Super Bowl. Four is like stability and roots. Like think about like the four walls of a home. It's very, very grounded. Five is change. Six is like cozy family, homebody. We do not leave the house. We've got a bunch of kids and we stay home cooking and, living our life in the home. Seven is all about spirituality and like the meditative journey and the spiritual journey. And then eight is all about like abundance, money, hustling, workaholic. Um, Nine, which is your condo. Um, so we've talked about this,
Right.
is all about your condo in
As
Toronto.
if you
Yeah, is
remembered
all
that. I didn't even remember it.
I remember. I
Yeah.
remember. Your condo is a nine, which is all about international visitors, international travel. While you're there, it's all about like altruism and like that's exactly what you were doing when you were living there. So
Yeah.
it's really cool when you
Neat.
start to like
That's so
think
cool.
about all your previous homes too and your business as well. And the only thing I'll say for anybody that's listening that's confused is if you live in an apartment building, that number is important, but the more important number is your personal unit number.
Yeah. Yeah. You do have a couple other tools which are fun too, right? We've talked about colors and we've also talked about my personal favorite, and you might have to spell this out, is a Bagua map.
Yeah, no, you said it perfectly.
And how do you
Yeah,
spell it?
Bagua.
Okay. And so
Bagua.
explain what it is and how people can use it in their home.
Yes. So the Bagua map, as Vanessa's talking about, is a tool used in feng shui. It's a grid of 9 boxes. So it's like 3 rows of three. And you lay this grid on top of your floor plan, lining up the career section, the career box with your front door. And then you can
Which is basically
see
the bottom center
the
box.
bottom
Yeah.
center box. And then you can see where the rooms of your home fall according to the Bagua map. So you might be like, oh, that's so cool. My kitchen is, in the love corner, or my kids' room is in the children and creativity section. And like you start to see how things add up. A lot of people's travel section is like their garage where they keep like their cars, their snowboards, like all the travel stuff. So like you start to see these coincidences, or like let's say you're in a really spiritual field and you realize, oh my gosh, my office is in the spirituality corner. Like, how cool is that? So that's really fun. Like the modern take on the Bagua map is lining the career box, the bottom center with your front door. But I've also like started to dabble in the like traditional Chinese like use of the Bagua map, which is directional. So you line up
Mm.
the career section or like the first section with your front door, depending on like, is it southwest, southeast, south? And so you can start to like turn the Bagua map depending on like the direction of your
Hmm.
home
Hmm.
and like, you know, which direction your front door faces. And I find that to be like kind of accurate too.
Yeah.
So
And
playing
there's also
around.
colors and elements in each section. So if
Hmm.
you want to bring out those sections and highlight those sections, you
Yeah.
can call in some of those colors and elements.
Yeah, and that again is also open to interpretation. So like basically the boxes are like wisdom and spirituality or knowledge and spirituality, career and life's purpose, travel and helpful people. And then above that row, there's children and creativity, there's health and wellness, there's family and relationships. And then the top row is abundance, like wealth. The back, the top center is reputation and fame. And then the top right is love and relationships. So you're right. Each one has a different color. So let's just take like the abundance and wealth section. So that's purple. That does not mean you need to paint your room purple. So you can bring in amethyst, which is purple. You can bring in artwork that has purple, or you can do away with the purple altogether and you can bring in artwork that represents abundance or a symbol, a piece of decor that represents abundance and wealth to you. So that's like the fun part where you can really customize it to yourself. And again, it all just simply comes back to your intention. So you can do the smallest thing that really doesn't even, nobody else would notice. But if that little thing symbolizes abundance and wealth to you, you've done your job. You've done your feng
Yeah.
shui.
Yeah, intention is so key in everything. And
Yeah,
really, I probably talk about this in every episode of the podcast, is really coming back to how you feel and how that is the most
exactly.
important thing.
Exactly.
Are there any colors or things that people should stay away from? You mentioned obviously the repairs, but what else do you think are the biggest mistakes that people make in a home?
Well, from my experience, the first thing that comes to mind is when you make a decision about your home based on what somebody else has done. Pinterest is great. I love inspiration, but I have known clients who have chosen colors or concepts because that's what their friend did and they really like their friend's house or they want to be like their friend or and the identity of the home or of the designs becomes so attached to the friend then when it should be attached to them. And so I would say like the most important thing and what I guide and help people with in the beginning and throughout is who are you? How is your home an extension of you, not of your friend, like of you? You can be inspired, but like you really need to like hone in on your identity because your home is an extension of your identity, of your mind, of your heart, not your friends. So I would say with influencing, people get very influenced by what other people are doing and they skip over the practice of checking in with themselves, being like, do I like this color? Do I like this design? Is this me? Or like, am I just like rushing to like pick something? And I'm like, oh, that looks cute. Let's do that. So it's slowing down, it's being intentional, it's finding like knowing who you are at your core because I cannot design a home for you and you cannot design a home for you if you don't know who you are. What
Yeah.
will happen is in a year or 2 years, you'll be like, I hate everything. I want to redo it.
Yeah. You mentioned this to me when we were designing the cottage
Yeah.
because so my personal process, I spent a lot of time deciding what I want and what I like even before I met with Diana. So that when Diana and I actually sat down, I basically already had what I wanted. And I was
Hmm.
able to make decisions so quickly. And then she was able to take my thoughts and my inspirations and then just finesse it just so to make it, to give it that extra luxury and to make sure everything pulled together really nicely.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why you're like a dream client because you know very well who you are and what you want and what you like. And like you said, you want to be surrounded by beauty and you know what you think is beautiful. And so that is literally step one. That is pre-step one. If you don't know that, like it's gonna take it's gonna take a while to design for you. Like
Yeah.
you have to know what you like. But it's interesting because, I would say over 50% of my clients are married. So it becomes not only an extension of them, but an extension of their partner.
Yes.
And that is always a wild ride because some some couples have the same taste. And I'm like, okay, great. This
I
is
know
going to
I'm
be easy.
so glad Mark and I have similar taste. He has challenged me on a few things
Hmm.
more because for him it was hard for him to see the vision. So when I made a recommendation and he couldn't see it, he's like, "Oh, I don't know about that." And I had to fight him for it. But then once he sees it, he knows he loves it. So now he trusts me. But I had to build that trust.
Oh yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's where 3D renderings come in so clutch.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we've been able to show him like, no, this is what it's gonna look like exactly. But yeah, some couples don't have the same taste. And it's like, how do you make one home an extension of two people that don't have the same taste?
Yeah.
So that's a challenge, right? And so you have to find the common ground and you have to start really like interrogating like what do you consider beautiful? What do you want to be surrounded by? What is your taste in art? What like you have to ask all of these questions and get to the bottom of it.
Hmm.
That way
Yeah.
both people are happy. And don't even get me started on people who have like three kids. Like, and
Right.
that's where the bedrooms just become curated and customized for that individual person so that everybody feels like this is their home. They don't feel like they're living in their parents' home. They feel like, no, this is my room. Like this is exactly like who I am. That's my snowboard on the wall. Like, you know what I mean? So,
That's so
yeah.
cute. The other interesting part, and I mean, you can probably see the similarities, but my home still looks different from the cottage, still looks different from
Yeah.
my condo, right? There is a common thread, particularly in the colors,
I was
which
just gonna say
you have always.
in your jewel tones,
Yeah, I
yes.
love my jewel tones. But then there's still, right? The house is much more modern. The cottage is much more, I don't know, what is it? Just country cottagey
Well, cottagey.
farmhouse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so you can still have different sides of your personality while having that common
Mhm.
thread throughout all of it.
Yeah, and you are very lucky that we can do that in three different residences. Some people have to do that within one home. And that's where, like you said, like I have to come in and finesse and make it cohesive so that you don't walk through the house and feel like 12 people live here, like 12 personalities. Like there has to be that common thread. There has to be, at the very least, a color palette that's continuous throughout the house. Otherwise, it does begin to feel extremely disjointed.
Yeah.
And,
And
and
that
then it doesn't feel
also,
designed.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I like that word designed because what you've also helped me do in all of my homes is even the decor, right?
Mhm.
That's where the design comes in, the luxury comes in, making things look finished and
Yeah.
cozy and not
Yeah.
cluttered, right? Because before I just didn't really know. I felt like it looked I mean, I like it minimal, but minimal cozy, right? And
Yeah.
minimal can still feel very cold and
Of
stark,
course.
right? And so you being able to make that merger is just so beautiful. What is that merger that you help
Mm.
it not feel minimal while still feeling clean and not cluttered?
It's literally an art. It That's called styling. So that comes like after the design, after we purchase furniture, that's when like you and I went out shopping in real life and getting those pieces that are meaningful to you and like make sense in the room. So it's like you have to so architecturally, your home has to make sense with the environment it's in. Then your interiors have to make sense with the architecture. Then your furniture has to make sense with the interior design. Then your accessories have to make sense with all of that. So it's like I wouldn't come into your house and put like a bunch of pop art. Like you live in like the middle of like all these beautiful pine trees and your palette is like jewel tones, deep greens and blues, like I'm not going to come in and be like, you know what this house needs is red. Like
And fluorescence. Yeah.
like a neon sign. Like
Yeah.
no, like it has to make sense. So that is at the very end, that's styling. You know, when we do the pillows and the throws and the books and the bowls and all of that. And it's it's an art. It's taken many years like to even claim that I'm an expert at it. But now I am. And it's a balance, right? So it's like if there's a quote and I always come back to. It's like a decorator um says that a room is done when they've like stopped adding to it. But a designer says a room is done when there's like nothing left to take away. And so speaking to the minimalism, it is minimal, but it's also just curated. So it's like more often than not, I take out more than I put in because that is the essence of curation. So it's like just being super particular and intentional with what you put on your shelves and bookcases because you're going to look at them every day, right? So I think sometimes that's like the most fun part is doing the styling because it
Yeah.
is what brings a room together and makes it look like a magazine.
I can really resonate with that though, because I feel like that's even what I do in people's businesses and lives and mind
Mm.
is taking away
Hmm.
and simplifying. I just don't think enough emphasis is put on simplification because if we think about all the things that we've been talking about today, the common thread is still, like I mentioned, how do you feel, that peace, that nervous system, all that stuff. So it's just bringing that into your home and design.
You're so right. You do that for people's brains, you do that for my brain.
Thank you.
And it's clarity. Like it's clarification, like and like you said, simplification. So it's like when you take away all the clutter, mental clutter or physical clutter, you're left with this like curated thought. And you're like, oh, okay, now I can hear that thought. Like,
Right?
yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that's exactly what you do.
Yeah, thanks. Well, yeah. I want to also give you a moment to brag a little bit. What you mentioned you were an expert in this the what was
Styling?
the styling, thank you.
Yeah.
What else do you think you're an expert in?
At this point, feng shui.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously my business, my brand is spiritually based interior design. So at this point, I absolutely feel I'm an expert in that. Um, and when I launched my company 8 years ago, and actually I launched it March 1st, 2017. So I just hit my 8 year anniversary that, oops, I forgot about. But I'm celebrating now. I had no intention for it to ever become a construction and renovation firm. And I was utterly overwhelmed when I started being approached by clients to help them with construction documents, walking job sites when everything's down to the studs, starting a new construction from a dirt lot. Like I never dreamed that I would do projects of that magnitude. And then slowly over the years, it's become what I'm actually like known for. And well, maybe that's not true. A lot of my clients don't even know that I don't post much. So a lot of my clients don't even know that most of the projects I work on are new constructions. And I'm doing, plans and I'm working with the architect and the contractor and I'm like meeting with inspectors. And that is not anything I ever planned for. I honestly wanted to just make things beautiful, but when I would come in and pick the furniture, then I'd be like, you should actually really paint this room too. And then after they'd paint the room, I'd be like, gosh, I wish that window was in a different location. I wish that door was in a different location. Next time on your next project, bring me in at the beginning so I can plan where the windows and doors go, where the walls are, and how big the room needs to be. Because I can't tell you how many bedrooms I've walked into where there's two windows on a wall in, the primary bedroom, master bedroom, and there's not enough space between the windows for a king size bed. And I'm like, okay, well, they're not going to sleep on a queen probably. So like this is so silly. Like I wish I architecturally designed the home. So to answer your question, I never thought that I would say this, but I do now consider myself an expert in like construction, renovation, and like new builds.
That's so cool. And I love that story too of how your business has evolved and your skills have evolved. What are you currently evolving into? What do you want to be an expert in?
What a great question. Um, I've always felt a pull, and we've talked about this, to be on like a world stage level. Like I want to spread what I'm doing far and wide. And I think in many ways these first 8 years have been very like preparatory. One mentor I had said that what I've done so far is one tic tac compared to the entire container. And I really like think about that a lot. So I think about the rest of the tic tacs, the whole container, and like what I ultimately want is so much bigger and so much grander and so much more public. I guess I've been like quite private with my clients and projects. And honestly, I'm just so bored with social media. I don't even post on it anymore. Um, but there is like this longing to, you know, the Netflixing got me really excited. Like, I'm like, yeah, I can totally see like having my own show on Netflix. Like, I can see myself doing TED Talks. I can see all of this playing out. So I'm just having, faith in God's plan and timing that like it is all happening for me. I will become an expert in all of this. There's actually a website called The Expert where you can like have a call with like an interior designer. And that's like one of my dreams. Like one day I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be on The Expert. Like, so I definitely check in with my dreams on literally on a daily basis,
Yeah.
to keep them at the front of my mind.
You're so good at that. And that's even in, so obviously we were friends first, and then
Yeah.
I started coaching with you. And that's something you've been so great at, even as a client, is tuning into your dreams, but also your ability to reflect on your life. And you are the best. So in our coaching calls, I'm not going to give away everything, but she basically comes on and she goes, okay, these are the things that are coming up in my life right now. These are the things that I feel stuck on. These are the things that I'm worrying about and or I just don't feel good about. Like help me think through these and or help me
Mhm.
see any resistance or inconsistencies. And to me, it's just perfect because I truly believe that for people to elevate and embody what they want to be an expert in and that next step for them, it is all in the consistencies. It's all in, okay, something's not sitting right, this
Mhm.
doesn't feel good. How do I show up as my best self in that experience? And you're just so good at picking that out for
Thank
yourself
you.
and then bringing that to me and trusting me in supporting you through that.
Wow, thank you so much. I am like incredibly self-aware. I think it's a blessing and a curse, and I think a lot of people can probably relate to that, where like in the moment, like if I like have a bad thought or I'm like, "Ooh, I feel like I'm in a pattern right now," or like this doesn't feel right. Like I'm constantly checking in. I'm actually like pretty much a crazy person. I talk to myself in my car all the time. I'm like, "Oh,
Okay,
love.
me
Oh,
too.
Diana."
Did you
Like
know though? Okay, my brother told me, I think last week, that not everybody hears themselves talking
I've
to themselves.
I've heard that. I can't fathom.
What?
I can't
I
fathom
I
it.
can't what a quiet existence that must be. I'm like, what do you mean? I literally and I don't remember how it came up. He said, "Oh, I was talking to myself or I could hear myself." I'm like, "Yeah, don't we all?" And he goes, "Actually, we don't." So if you're one of those people out there
Wow.
that doesn't hear yourself talking to yourself and doesn't hear a voice, oh my gosh. Like I mean, I
What
I,
peace.
I mean, I know, right? I
But
I wonder what that would be like.
but like I
I
said, a
hear
blessing and a
lots of
curse to
voices.
hear.
Yeah.
Girl,
Lots of
same.
voices.
Same. I am always, and most of the time it's my own. I'm like talking, literally talking out loud to myself, like,
Yes.
or like, like I talk to the universe, the angels, God. I talk to my grandma who passed away. Like I talk things through, and because of that, like I'm able to like create so much awareness of like what's going on right now in the moment. Like, of course I reflect, but like I'm so much better at like catching it in the moment. And
Mhm.
then I write it down and then I meditate on it and then I have a coaching call with you about it.
And you know what's neat too? Because even in those moments, you are incredibly self-aware. And when we talk about something and it doesn't resonate at the time, you're also so good on reflecting on that
Mm-hmm.
and being like,
Mm-hmm.
does this fit? Is it not? Like,
Yeah.
and this happens to even other clients. This hasn't happened directly to you, but with other clients, I'll say, "Oh, do you think it might be this?" And they go, "No, I don't think so. That doesn't feel true to
Mm.
me." And then a week later, they're like, "Oh shit, she was
It's
totally
that.
right." It's that,
Yeah.
right? And I feel
Yeah.
like that happens more times than not when it's a really deep, like
Mm.
avoidance thing where
Yeah.
maybe we haven't addressed it and you're going, "Oh crap, like that's there." Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just having someone else say it out loud, for you to like have a realization. And honestly, drawing a parallel again, just like you did, it's the same thing with interior design. Like sometimes it just takes me saying something out loud, like, so what are we gonna do about, this room? And then the person's like, wow, yeah, okay, I've like become blind to that, or I'm avoiding that. And it takes an expert to like you
Or like you.
bring to like bring it up and talk about it and not be afraid to throw it out there, because sometimes you want to be a people pleaser, you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, like you don't want to bring it up, you're just, oh, skip over it, but you're really good at that too, about like actually acknowledging like the hard stuff, because we talk about this a lot with like how I'm so black and white, and Vanessa will always bring up the gray area option for me. And I'm like, that's so interesting. I never saw the gray area, never even crossed my mind. Like
Yeah, yeah.
but like you're really good at like pointing out like that gray area or that thing that maybe like I was avoiding because I'm like, nope, it's black or it's white. And these are my two options. And you're like, oh no, there's five other options in between. Hold on. And so like I think that's really important too as like a coach, being
Yeah.
able to like,
Thanks.
bring it
Thank
up.
you. Thank you. But even in this conversation, I actually am seeing so many parallels in what we do that I
I
haven't even
know.
seen before. Even in you describing that, because even when you're designing, you mentioned the husband and wife. It isn't
Yeah.
just one way or the other. There's five other options in between in order for them both to feel heard and
Mm,
to love their space. Like it's possible.
so true. So
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having this epiphany as well.
Right.
We've never talked about
No,
this.
this is cool. Well, thanks, people, for coming along on this ride. This is great. Love it.
Gosh, I
No,
love it.
honestly, we've had just so many cool conversations. So I love when new things come up and we're like, oh,
Yeah,
this is fun. Yeah,
I know.
so
I
neat.
know. I
So
was trying to remember. Oh, sorry. I
no,
was trying
go
to
on.
remember how many years ago we met. Would
So
it have
we
also
met
been
in
8?
2017.
Yeah, so 8 years ago,
Yeah,
Vanessa.
8 years ago, right after you started your business.
Oh my
We
gosh.
met, what month would it have been? I don't remember what, would you remember
Summer,
the
no?
month? It was summer, yeah. And we met,
Probably right by your birthday, June. I think you came for your birthday.
was it? Was I there for
I,
my birthday? Probably. I would do something
yeah.
loser like that, going to LA by myself for my birthday.
Well, I'm so glad you did because now we've got an 8 year strong
Right?
friendship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so fun. Just going back and forth. We're bi-coastal slash
Yes.
into different countries.
Yeah. International. We're
Right? Yeah,
international.
international. So if people want to get in touch with you, can you work in Canada? I mean, how can somebody
Of
work with you, right?
course.
You worked with me, so obviously,
Yeah.
how can someone get in touch with you to help them with their design or even their construction projects?
Yeah. I mean, you are more than welcome to put my contact information
Yeah, it'll be in
attached
the
to
show
this
notes. Yeah.
podcast. Okay. Yeah, I mean, email me, you can DM me, but probably email I'll for sure get. Um, I I absolutely work long distance. I just, finished a project in Delray Beach, Florida last year. I'm currently working on a project in Austin, Texas. I'm currently helping you with your cottage in Canada. Like I work far and wide, so mostly my radius is Santa Barbara to San Diego and all the coastal cities in between. But for the right project and the right client, I will for sure design remotely or you've had me up there a couple times, and
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
Austin clients and my Florida clients have had me there a couple times. So it's completely doable and possible with Zoom and FaceTime and phone calls. Um,
You must get the
if
funniest text too. I mean, even my text that I send you, I'm like, what about this? I'll just randomly. And the
Yeah,
weirdest thing is the time of day, right? Like people are on Pinterest
yes.
or on Amazon or looking for things at
hmm
probably 11 o'clock at night. And you probably get
hmm
these random texts. Hey, what about this light, Diana?
It's so true. And I will say I do not have a separate business phone and personal phone. It's all one. But my new life hack, have I told you? My new life hack is when I walk in the door of my house, I put my phone on airplane mode. And then when I leave my house the next morning, I take off airplane mode. So texts can still come through, but phone calls can't. And that's been my little like fun like boundary that I've implemented this year, and it's given me so much peace of mind.
Yeah. I
But
notice because when I text you at the wee hours, I get it's on silent or whatever,
yeah, yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So I get the texts, but I get them within work
Yeah.
hours now.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
just something I've had to create because of
Totally.
burnout
Yeah.
and etc.
And
Yeah.
there's so many different industries that are like that too, events. And yeah, it's
hmm
even with my clients too, when there something comes up. Now, my hack is I keep all my clients in WhatsApp.
Oh, yeah.
And that way I don't open my WhatsApp until work
You're
hours.
in work mode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And then I'll
So
check it
smart.
at certain times in the day so that I'm not always inundated.
Yeah.
I don't have any of my notifications on. I cannot stand notifications,
Same.
right? Well, I was
But see,
talking
that's
about this.
another nervous
Yeah.
system thing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I know my partner, he even said, he's like, how do you not have any notifications on your phone? I'm like, no, nothing. And I hate using email on my phone. I only use it
Mm,
if I really need to. There's just certain things,
yeah.
we gotta set our boundaries to keep our
Yeah.
mental health in order so that we can stay focused on the things that matter.
Especially when we do what you and I do, the mental health component and the alignment and the nervous system, like stability, is actually literally crucial.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's crucial for anybody that owns their own business and or wants
so
to
true.
show up
Yep.
as their highest potential.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always give this opportunity at the end. Is there anything on your heart that you feel like you need to say to whoever is listening to this and or that we haven't talked about today that you would like to share?
Well, the only thing that comes to mind is that I had a meditation recently about what I do and how you have to become like what you want to create before you can create it. So if that resonates with anybody out there, I was thinking like I was sitting on the beach in Malibu and I was just like having this meditation and I was like, okay, like how could I possibly create like healing spaces when like I wasn't healed? So like I had to like heal myself first. Like how could I have, you know, preached that I raised the vibration of spaces when like I wasn't working on raising my own vibration. And so like I was having this moment of reflection where I was just like, okay, you really do like need to become what you want to create first, because then when you're strong in your identity and your alignment and your quote unquote brand, everything you create flows from that. And so then it becomes natural and you do become an expert in creating it because you've already like embodied it, your favorite word.
Yeah, my
And
favorite.
I think that's like, I think of you when you said like you put yourself through the quote unquote, like what do you call it, spiritual Olympics,
Yeah,
mental
mental
Olympics,
Olympics. Oh,
mental
yes.
Olympics.
Yeah, literally
For years you did
years.
that.
Yeah.
And you just studied everything and read every book and listened to every Abraham and you just did the work. And then now look. You're an
Yeah.
expert coach. So it like I was just having that moment of like, wow, like everything I do really needs to start with me. And kind of, to sum it up, like
Mm.
everything that we want to go out into the world and do for the world has to start at home.
It's
So,
beautiful for your brand. It's perfect. And especially in a world where there are so many people who, so here's the thing. I want to say this carefully because it doesn't mean that it's wrong. There are
mhm,
many different levels of designers, coaches, all these
mhm,
different things. And
mhm.
it's finding the right person for you. But the reason I'm saying this is because you can always tell when people aren't embodied.
Yeah.
You might be able to sense it. Like there's a little taste. You're like, something's not right. But
Hmm.
again, it doesn't mean that they can't help some people. Maybe they're helping people that are just behind them or that are just
Yeah.
starting out, and that's great too. But if you want to be the best, if you want to be the expert, if you want to attract perfect clients and really just step into the life that you
Mm.
deserve and just, oh, like I'm just feeling it in my body while I'm saying
Yeah.
this. It's just
Yeah.
like that huge that hugeness, like that
Hmm.
presence that I'm
Hmm.
feeling in my body right now. I know you
Hmm.
get too, right? If you want to
Yeah.
step into that presence, it is being that and being
Hmm.
the thing that you want to create.
Being before doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Right? Just starting at home first, cleaning up your side of the street.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you. That's all for today. Until next time, trust yourself, shine your light, and stay true to your heart and mind. Love you.